The second week of Lent is always the Transfiguration of Jesus Christ. So whether it's going to be year A, year B or year C, you will always have the first week of Lent, the testing and temptations of Christ, and the second week will always be, as I said, the Transfiguration. This year it's according to the Gospel of Mark. Now what's going on here is the church is trying to give us some time, specifically the first 2 weeks, so it's a very generous offer, to reflect on the uniqueness of who Jesus Christ is. That is, someone who is truly human, who's able to be tested and tempted to the utmost degree, and then somebody who is utterly and truly divine in the one person. The teaching is, mysterious teaching is, over a long period of time, after many centuries of discussion, that Jesus is a divine person who has a human nature, or is a human being, but he's not a human person. That's a very important point, because his origin, he's a divine person. He's been with the Father for all eternity, but at some point in time, he becomes a little baby, he becomes a child, he becomes a young man, and then ultimately is crucified and then resurrected. So that's what's going on here in these first 2 weeks of Lent. We're being invited to see the mystery of Christ, to understand and encounter the mystery of Christ. A mystery is not a puzzle you solve with your head. That won't do it. You'll never solve it with your head. It's impossible. But a mystery is something you believe graciously with a specific gift we call faith, and then you try and live the mystery. That's the whole idea. Now the church has these periods of time where it gives us a bit of time to enter into these mysteries. So this is true too when we come to Passion Sunday or Palm Sunday. We're given a whole week leading up to Good Friday to reflect on the Passion of Christ. That's what that's about. And then with the resurrection, we're given 8 days, a generous 8 days, to experience and reflect on the resurrection of Christ. So look out for that as we go deeper into Lent. So we have the beautiful event of the Transfiguration of Christ. It's a magnificent thing. Just let it be proclaimed. You go and read it. He's transfigured. That's the word that's used. He's transfigured, and his whole persona is seen. His whole divine persona, in and through his human nature, it starts to manifest itself. As some commentators say, it's like a foretaste of the resurrection. So it may well be that as well. But anyway, he's transfigured. They're absolutely enraptured by the whole thing, and then they come back down the mountain. Now, interestingly enough, and we'll finish with this, Jesus is transfigured at that moment, straight away when God appears to him, the Father appears and the Holy Spirit appears on that mountain, whether it's Tabor or whether it's Mount Hermon. And he's transfigured immediately. Now, when Paul comes to talk about our moral life, and he does this in 2 Corinthians 3, go and check that out, or perhaps the easier reference is Romans 12. And in Romans 12, what Paul is doing there, right to the back end of the letter, he's set up all the theology, the whole mystery of Christ, and then he says, well now, this is the way we're supposed to live. And what he says there is exactly what happened at the Transfiguration. He says, we are being, through our offering of ourself to God, we are being transfigured into the glory of God, slowly but surely. So not immediately like Jesus, but slowly but surely. Now if you just go to the beginning of this particular passage today, you'll notice what it says. And I think this is very important for all of us. It says that Jesus took with him. He led them. He took with him Peter, James and John. That's the same idea. We've got to let Jesus take us so that over time, over the journey of life, we can be transfigured with him until we come to the point of death, where we will go through that gate of death and then see the glory of God and then have an immediate transfiguration. This is something to look forward to.